the World Cup's a good example of this because it is new to Canada in terms of like us actually being in it and being good. But it does expose like how so many other countries really do know who they are and why they exist, and how the people who support those countries in Canada have always been the ones to bring the World Cup spirit here. You know, I was there when Italy won. I was in Little Italy, and it was like absolutely crazy. I can think of when Italy lost to Korea in my high school, and how there were only two Korean kids in my grade, and of course it's a Catholic school. There's a million Italians, and the two Koreans like ran around the school with their flag, and it was so fun to watch them taunt the Italians for having lost. And I don't know, like for people listening outside of like the Greater Toronto area, the fact that, in Sandy, I don't know if you heard this, but the fact that the matchup in Toronto that's happening tomorrow on July 2nd is between Croatia and Portugal, like they could not have come up with a more perfect Greater Toronto area ethnic matchup than those two.
Yeah, I did.
Than those two ethnicities. Oh my God.
Yeah, that is going to be incredible and biting. And so I'll definitely be looking out for like the footage of how that goes down. Hopefully from some Canadian outlets, but who knows at this point. And as you mentioned, like in terms of like how government supports the arts and so on, it's like, this is pretty niche, but an issue that I realized last week while I was working in Toronto, I was working on some stuff for the Wild Seed Center for Arts and Activism, which is a community center that I helped to run. And, like community groups in Canada, community organizations and like heritage art centers, that kind of thing, they used to apply for capital support from the federal government through Heritage Canada. Heritage like supports cultural groups with capital support. The Carney government has ended that.
Of course they have.
The Carney government has ended that, and now these cultural groups will have to compete with business groups and apply for the same sort of capital support that business groups who, will have to show that they are, increasing jobs by, creating this much revenue for blah, 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 like the business cases for getting Canadian investment in capital funds. Art institutions are going to have to compete with the same programs. And just talking to some granting officers and some other people who are frustrated about this,